On our website, we've expanded over this last year, right? Where we were just email support at first. Then we added, chat, where you can
Mhm.
chat right with someone online. Then we added phone support. As we continue to evolve with employees and support pieces, we try to make it so there's every little piece there. Even video testimonials now, like I talked about earlier, on people that have actually received checks.
If you haven't heard of the Employee Retention Credit, also known as ERC, then your business may be missing out on potentially tens, even hundreds of $1,000s in a refundable tax credit. For the past few months, I've been helping several small business owners get this refundable payroll tax credit filed. The money's on their way coming back to them. But one of the number one questions that comes across my desk are, who are these ERC specialists? This is apparently a new company that's helping people file. Rich, you partnered with them. Is this all on the up and up? Is it legit? Well, today I'm going to share with you exactly who are the ERC specialists. In fact, I have an interview today with one of the founders, Josh Zieglowsky. He, along with the rest of the team at ERC Specialists, for the past year have been helping small business owners complete the analysis that maybe your accountant doesn't know how to do, CPAs are too swamped with other work to learn how to do, or even your payroll company just plain won't help you with. So I wanted to ask him all about the company, answer some questions you've been sending my way, and hopefully reassure you that this is the company that can hopefully earn your business if you're interested in getting that Employee Retention Credit, also known as ERC. All right, I got Josh waiting on the line, so let's do it. You're not going to want to miss this. You know, the number one question I get sometimes is this too good to be true? Does it apply to my business? I've done so many videos on how to apply, who qualifies. But I wanted to sort of focus this interview on, like, who are you? Like, let's pull back the curtain. Who are ERC specialists? I know the business is only about a year old. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are? Where are you guys located? How'd you get started?
Talk about myself a little bit. I'm a commercial real estate investor and entrepreneur. I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago, I started wanting to not just be a real estate investor, and so I wanted to have other businesses or whatnot. And it kind of segues into how this business got started. Is I had an oil business out in Wyoming. I live in Utah, and
Okay.
and technically ERC Specialist is based in Utah. And I don't know if you remember, Rich, but back in 2020, price per barrel of oil was negative $30 a barrel one day. And so with that, my oil business was suffering. I mean, we went through PPP number one, number two. I got a state of Wyoming grant that was forgiven later, just trying to find extra stimulus. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should look into this other stimulus, this new stimulus that has came out called the Employee Retention Credit." Oh, okay. So I then called two CPAs. One of my CPAs is actually Robert Kiyosaki's CPA, and I
Awesome.
was surprised that he didn't know how to do it or what it was. But it's because I found out later. It's because it's a payroll credit, and usually 95% of CPAs I've noticed they don't do payroll, right? And so then you talk to payroll companies, and they're active softwares. They don't amend 941s. And so like there's this weird gray area. And so be as an entrepreneur, I had the mindset of the who not how book and mentality and end up getting the right people in place. Now, like you said, a year and 2 weeks later, we got a company that has little under 200 employees. It's been kind of nuts.
It is kind of nuts because I was a big player in helping self-employed small business owners get PPP. And when I heard about this, I too ignored it simply because rules have changed along the way. If you're listening to this and think my business doesn't qualify because I got PPP, well, that's no longer the case. If you're thinking, well, actually I did a little better, even, I stayed open, I made some money. Again, that's no longer the case. So the fact that you're only a year old and you've already grown the team to hundreds of employees is commendable. But people are going to ask, well, okay, so you're in Utah, you've been around for a year. When I Google and look for ERC specialist reviews, is this legit? Maybe you can again tell us. Yes, it's legit, but like, what have you had to do? Some struggles, some obstacles to get this thing going in the past, let's just say 12 months.
Yeah, a couple things. So the first, I'd say about 6 months of the company, and again, why this is so new is because this was amended in March, end of March of 21. I discovered it in April of 21, and it was around technically during PPP, but you can only get one or the other. That was part of the amendment, right? And
Right.
so we really became a company the first week of May, and for the first 6 months, well, let me back up. For the first 30, 60 days, we had like a fee schedule actually. And we noticed a lot of business owners were like, "Hey, this is just too good to be true, man. Like, I don't feel comfortable about paying up front for this, hoping that money will come to me in 6 to 8 months because the IRS, that's how long they take to send this money out." So then we shifted and we said, "Hey, let's make it so we're not going to charge anything up front, and we're going to charge a percentage of what they get on the back, right?" And so that really propelled us. But even then, so now when we started the business, 6 months, I would always start every presentation saying, "Hey, this is too good to be true. I know, but let's go over some stuff. Google ERC credit. You'll go to the IRS.gov website. So I had to validate some things. Now, I don't even mention that anymore because people have been receiving checks. They're referring a lot of people on our website. We have video testimonials of people actually receiving checks. And so we've now propelled that. Plus, if someone asks their tax professional or CPA, number one, I always say, if they do it now, I'm a little disappointed because they should have been telling you about this a year ago. But
Right.
at the same token, you want to be taken care of, and hopefully we're the company that can help with that.
Yeah, and I feel like your company has made the right moves over the first 6 months, made some changes when there was the amendment. Let's say the past 6 months, because from my experience in helping business owners, the success stories are starting to flow in. So this is nothing that you are selling or I'm selling in the sense where you're buying a product. You are simply taking your 941 payroll tax forms and you are this is the IRS here. You're literally mailing them back in and saying, we want to take advantage of this stimulus program and we want to amend these forms. Like you said, sometimes it takes 6, maybe 8 months. And all of a sudden, a check arrives. You guys get your fee, they get the rest of the money as calculated, and everything's on the up and up. So, going back to that idea of success stories, is there any specific businesses that come to mind? Maybe the categories of business that you could share that have started to see the money and, maybe are doing some of those testimonials?
It's funny because I have testimonials before people got their money, and now I have
Nice.
ones that after they got their money. Because before they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna change the way my business is gonna operate now." Because during the pandemic, it suffered, or we've been thinking about expanding, or we need some new equipment, all that kind of stuff. And so there's tons of stories, but one that comes to mind was just about a week or two ago. And like we talked about earlier, we don't charge for anything up front. We charge when they actually get the money. Well, just about a week or two ago, in this lady sent us a check in the mail, and in the check, in the memo, it said "thank you." So
Wow.
she was actually happy to pay our fee, right? And that changed her business. And it was something, it's like you said, this is newfound money. And this isn't like debiting against your taxes for a couple years. This is a rebate check, that you're getting, that you've already paid these wages. And so when you're talking to someone about like, "Hey, did you know you can get up to $26,000 per W-2 employee? You have 10 employees, you can get up to $260,000." There's like, no way. That's crazy, and it's too good to be true. But hey, if you're willing to wait to get paid until I get paid, I'm in. And that's where I think we've had a lot of success.
Terms of the success, I want to talk real numbers here. As an affiliate that has partnered with you, just since joining ERC Specialists and helping, I think I've helped businesses get close to $10 million. Now that's a huge number, right? And it's only going to keep going up. But in terms of success for you, you've already mentioned you have hundreds of employees. You guys hit a pretty big milestone recently, just in terms of credits filed. Do you mind sharing that number?
Sure. Actually, we're going to hit another milestone probably midweek. Next week, we'll hit about $2 billion in credit.
That's with a B.
Um,
Two
yeah, we're
billion.
averaging right now about 350 to 400 million a month of credit. And again, it's mostly because of these amendments. When we first started the business or started the company, there was just really a couple questions: 500 employees or less, or a 20% revenue loss. And so many people, tax professionals, and even business owners looked at this at the summer of last year, where they said, "Oh, I don't qualify," and then you just kind of forgot about it. Well, as this program continues, there's other things that's been added, and so with that, you know, our business propelled about November, December because of these new amendments. And so now we're hitting these milestones of $2 billion in credit. Next week as well, we'll hit 10,000 businesses. To me, that's like the biggest piece of helping is 10,000 businesses, because it is cool to kind of have all the amount of credit, the $10 billion. But when you're helping, and another testimonial is we helped this lady that she has like a food prep service business that she delivers. She was one of my first customers, actually. She's received her checks. I got her like $32,000, and she was like, "This is going to help me a ton," and we've helped churches and different things like that. That sometimes they get millions of dollars, but that $32,000. To me, I'll remember that story for years over some other people that have got a lot more money that it helped them, but this impacted her.
I sure do, and a few that have come across my desk more recently are professionals who they've gone to school for medicine or dentistry, and they run their own practice, and they're well respected within the community. You refer to them, hello, Dr. Miller, Dr. Bork, good to see you, and you see them twice a year for the checkups, but it's not just professionals like that. It could be the mom and pop daycare with some W-2 employees. You might own one gas station and have just a couple of full-time employees. But, even thinking bigger, you mentioned, and maybe you can go into a little detail. You mentioned churches, maybe nonprofits. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually kind of interesting to me when we first started this. It took us about 2-3 months to then read the IRS piece that they added 501As, 501Cs, Indian tribes. I mean, there's these associations that are part of it that has been very impactful. We recently did a big presentation for the Hawaii or the Private School Hawaii Association. Over 100 schools, and they were impacted a great deal in the state of Hawaii, where they had huge shutdowns, all that kind of stuff, and so we've helped some of those schools get a lot of money. And believe me, I love hearing the calls later, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to introduce you to many more people because this helps." We've helped Red Cross in different states, and because they were affected. They had to adjust their policies and stay home, and there were certain things they couldn't do, and gloves, and they couldn't get the extra supplies they needed. So yeah, the 501As, 501Cs, the churches, it's been pretty fun helping them out for sure.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like your plate's pretty full, but I just want to, tip my hat to you and look ahead a little bit to the future, because when someone's watching this, it could be, as of the time of this recording, it's just the beginning of the summer. But how long is this good for? Like, give me a deadline. If they're watching this, they go right to the date, and maybe some other things to keep in mind when, going through the site, filling out the questionnaire.
Yeah. So two things there. So, number one is people always say, "Oh, I thought this program expired." Technically, it did expire, but we can amend someone's return so their 941 X's for 3 years. Now, people then might say, "Okay, well, I got some time to finish this out." You do. Yes, you do. But I'll tell you, when we first started this, there was a 4-month waiting period, and that's the minimum for the IRS. Now it's 6 to 8 months. The longer you take, it could be 12 months by the time you actually file. I can't control that, right? I can't control their backlog. The other thing I can't control is, the IRS might, put out legislation saying, "Hey, we're actually cutting this off. Anyone that has," just like taxes, if you don't have a date stamp on your tax return or the outside of the envelope by April 15th, you're late, right? So they might have something like this, and so there is. I always try to say there is a little bit of call to action here that you do want to hurry and get this done so you can get filed. Now, you asked about the survey. That's the one thing I think I've been impressed, even with my own company, you've been impressed with, was the way the structure is here, is where a business owner, this is very simple for the business owner, where they only need about 5 or 10 minutes, go through the survey questions per EIN, and we don't ask for a credit card, none of that up front, right? And nor do we ever ask for a credit card, actually. But they go through the survey questions. They then we'll send them an email and say, we need these certain documents, like we talked about, the 941s or PPP information and payroll report. That's it. And they'll have that, if they go through the list there within 30 minutes, hour tops, and that's with someone like me who doesn't know bookkeeping. I just follow the steps and I can get it done. Then it takes us about 2 weeks to come back and say, okay, you're approved for $311,042. Do you want us to file? And then they click it, and then the DocuSign's done, and then we file it, and it's off to the IRS 72 hours later.
And what I'm noticing is that the businesses who are entitled to the almost larger credits are the ones who think this is a no-brainer. So I want to encourage everybody. I'll leave a link down below in the description of this video to that questionnaire. By all means, fill it out, get in touch with me if you have any questions. Also, I know, Josh, you guys have, I believe it's email support. You have a call-in number if people have some questions about anything. Anywhere else they should go to find out more about ERC Specialists, or if they do have more questions, where's the best place to send them?
Yeah, I mean, on our website, we've expanded over this last year, right? Where we were just email support at first. Then we added, chat, where you can chat right with someone online. Then we added phone support. As we continue to evolve with employees and support pieces, we try to make it so there's every little piece there. Even video testimonials now, like I talked about earlier, on people that have actually received checks. Anything you can do to research us and I'd say the program at first. Like you were talking about right after we were talking about the survey, was I tell people all the time, don't pre-qualify yourself either. At the very beginning, people always say, well, would I qualify based on this? Don't pre-qualify yourself. Even Forbes did an article about 6-8 weeks ago and said 80% of businesses qualify for this, yet 7 out of 10 of them don't even know about it. And so you got to have that mentality of like, okay, this doesn't cost me anything up front to go through the survey and just see if I qualify or not. And if I don't, I have the peace of mind knowing that I spent an hour of my time to do it. If I am qualified, what a good rate of return. I just spent an hour of my time to get X amount of dollars, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I would definitely say research the program first, and then us. Hopefully we can earn your business, and we'll treat you well, and we have great reviews in that regard.
Well, absolutely. And again, I've done blog posts and videos on who qualifies, how it works with PPP. So I'll leave links down below in the description to all of that. All right. Well, Josh, I think we covered all the bases here, and I just want to thank you for taking the time today. Thank you so much.
You bet. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Rich.
Absolutely. And guys, if you are new to the channel, please, as always, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. All right. As always, I'm Rich, and until next time.